Cool. The situation's sticky. Houdini and get tricky. I hope God really forgive me. I pray Jesus come and get me. I pray the ones that say they're really with me and really with me. And if they not, I pray whatever they do it quickly. Like Jay Garrett, Barry Allen, Wally West. If this the way it is, just know I always gave my best. I tried to make an A, but my tango E, that's my flesh. I could go on and on and on, but I digress. All I know is I've been seeing songs, so I really can't complain. How you gonna ask God to grow it, then get mad when it rains? That's why I keep the same vibe, even when I'm in a wreck. Long as I keep waking up, long as I keep waking up. I finally realized I'm not lonely, I'm just members only. I'm real selective of who I vibe with and who I call my homies. I'm not impressed with love and life is sweet, Zach and Cody. I'm way more impressed with a hater who's not scared to show me. Good head on his shoulders, he in school, he got some sense. But he way too impatient, tired of waiting, he wanna be rich. The brother think the answer is a blick or something he can flip. Don't even have a lawyer's line saved, the brother didn't read the script. I'm trying to lead by example, I'm trying to find the answers. Babies being raised by babies, prices going up on Pampers. Food they feed is full of cancer. Outside is real Jurassic. The weather's clouded, but I got a million chances. All I know is I've been seeing songs, so I really can't complain. How you gonna ask God to grow it, then get mad when it rains? That's why I keep the same vibe, even when I'm in a wreck. Long as I keep waking up, long as I keep waking.
My man said, I'm not lonely. I'm just members only. That is such a bar. That's my man, Aha Gazelle. What's good, everybody? What's good? What's good? It's your boy Big Red coming in. We're going to decode another facet of Christianity today. Another thing, people may think that I'm picking on Christianity. All I'm doing is I'm asking questions. And I'm finding answers that I didn't have before. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm recommending to all these other folks. It's not no attack. I'm not telling people to go be atheist or no nonsense like that. All I'm saying is what you say you believe in the Bible? Is what you are told is in the Bible really in the Bible? Are these different theological, religious things that we are fed since we are young and jumped up in the Sunday school, or even if you haven't even been in the church, things that you've heard from your churchy family members? Is this stuff real? Is this stuff accurate, or is it just designed to keep people in nonsense? That's all the questions I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. And today we're gonna talk about the church. The word the church, the so-called replacement for the Hebrews that turned basically the Messiah, the Messiah according to the Christian Messiah, the Christian God, Jesus, is a liar. The Christian God, because they don't call his name, they say God or Jehovah Jireh or whatever other give me something name that they got for him. It's just all it's all lie. It's just they turn the man into a liar. that's all it is. That's all you can say. They turned him into a liar. He told Abraham, I was never gonna do it again. Y'all, you my only people, this, and then all of a sudden, even though we can't find no scripture or nothing, it's usually just doctrines of men. They want to tell you that this nebulous entity called the church came in and inherited just all the just anybody who joins this institution gets these inheritances that were once defined by bloodline. So much so that the Bible has whole byline telling you so-and-so begot so-and-so, begot so-and-so, begot so-and-so, that I heard one pastor say was the boring part of the Bible, which kind of made me want to throw things, because I'm like, the genealogies are actually where it's at if you really understand how to look, and if you are a lover of reading the Bible. But when you just read the Bible for a TED Talk, I can see why it's boring, because, So what we are going to do today, is we're going to go in on this word. And what I like to do, I like to show my work. The Blue Letter Bible, even though I may not agree with a lot of the doctrines that they push, the resources that they have on this website are really good, and I think it's a valuable resource. And one of the things I like is their advanced search that they have set up. It's really, really good. And as you see, I've already pre-filled it in here. I typed it in church, and we got the KJV is what we're searching. And what I want to do is, I love about this is it lets you look. we use the, when in Rome, the Roman delineation. But for those that already know, the Bible wasn't separated into an old and new covenant. That's what this testament nonsense means. It wasn't separated like that. It was separated into books, and it was separated into things about how it was, because some parts of the Bible are actually history, talking about like Judges and Kings. They actually give chronicles of what happened. And that's what those books of Bibles were. There were books that were by certain prophets. There were books that were about prophecy and all these different things, creation, law, the Torah. They were separated based on the content, not on some nebulous, silly thing of old and new covenant and all this other nonsense and mess that they just added to the Bible and just be putting stuff in there to keep people in bondage and not letting them realize the truth of what's in the word. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look it up by the Old Testament. So we're going to search for the word church and see if it's here in the Old Testament, or if there's some analog to it, or if there's any. Oh, wait. Oh, wait a minute. The word church occurs 0 times in 0 verses in your custom selection in the Old Testament in the KJV. Oh, well, oh my goodness. You can't find the church in the Old Testament. I wonder why there's no reference to the church in the Old T. I wonder why. Where did these references go? What's going on here? See, that's a red flag. This is what I'm really doing with these series is I'm teaching y'all how to dive deeper into the word. You cannot be a casual hearer of the word. You don't get no word in these Christian churches, number one. Like, there's very few churches that even read the Bible properly and dissect the Bible properly. They'll just take one scripture and run with it and give a TED talk. They out here giving positive speeches and affirmations and stuff. Shoot, you even got some jokers out here trying to say that when you pray and you talk to pray to God, he actually wants you to be happy, even though the word happy never appears in the Bible. The word happiness is not there, because our worshiping in the Bible is not, our worshiping of Yah, is not predicated on feelings and emotion. That's the problem where we have this issue in today's society that we live in. They're a very emotional society, men and women. Men just manifest their emotions different. Because as soon as you start talking about something that they emotional about, dudes act the same way. It's pretty funny, I find that immature men argue the same way immature hyenas do. If you ever dealt with a hyena and you start telling her the truth, and then all she's gonna be like, oh, your mama black, oh, your mammy, oh, your mama. That's the first thing they say. They're gonna try to talk about your mama. They're gonna try to look at you and find some fault with you. Oh, you fat. Oh, look at you. You light skin. You don't even know if you red or white or black. I told you all kinds of stuff. I've heard it all. I don't care. Even though the creator of Rick and Morty is a pervert and a disgusting man, there's one bar that he had in that show that I love and I still use. Is your boos mean nothing to me. I seen what makes you cheer. I seen these the same people that cheer at a sexy red, or that cheer for a blue face, or that cheer for a no limit and what you call it, bad whatever that versus that was last time. No limit cash money. There it is. No limit cash money. You get excited for this stupid nonsense and stuff. That's the kind of stuff that excites you. You get excited by the nonsense. I don't care what you got to say. I don't care. I'm glad you don't like me, because that means I'm doing something right. Because if the idiots like you, you're doing something wrong. That's my word out there for everybody that's just out here that have their channels and stuff like that. Every time, I know it. I've seen it. I see how folks be coming for all different people that be spitting real because they feel some type of way because their idol that their soul gets pricked and they have to defend their idol. So they want to get mad at you and say stuff. So this is my little aside of, I didn't mean to go this way, but I'm just going to say it. Don't get mad when the morons come for you. Don't get mad when the dummies got something slick to say. If you got a YouTube channel, they just giving you free engagement. So, hey, I appreciate the comment. Hey, even if you thumbs it down, I appreciate that too. I appreciate your interaction. Because you heard the truth. And just take that every time you leave a bad remark, every time you leave a thumbs down because you feel a type of way, not because you don't like the knowledge. You ain't even sit to listen to the knowledge. You just don't like what I got to say or how I say it. That's fine. Take it as me dusting my feet off at your doorstep. Now, reading the Bible, what it say about those that the apostles dusted their feet off at. It was worse for them. The Messiah himself said it was worse for them. than getting slapped with judgment. So take that as, hey, I'm dusting my feet off with you Negroes, bro. I'm dusting my feet off of you niggas. I don't care. I'm going to speak the truth regardless because I'm not worried about old set in their ways morons. I'm worried about the future that's tired of, that don't even go to church no more. And I'm going to show you something about that a little later and show you why these young folks don't deal with these fakers and this emotional misandry nonsense. A church full of nothing but a bunch of controlling bald head females. And I said it just like that. If you're mad about the bald head statement, read Isaiah and see what it talk about a woman that gets into pride and rebellion, walking around with her folded necks and tinkering of her jewels and stuff. Isaiah done already addressed you bald-headed heifer, so I ain't got to do nothing. I'm just standing on what the Most High say. So that's my little aside. I'm sorry, y'all. I just had to come and, accept that straight. Because I know a lot of us that stand for the real and stuff like that, we catch it coming and going in this way and that way. And that's just my encouragement to you. If you got Negroes coming at you sideways, that means you telling the truth. Because the Messiah didn't come to bring peace. He came to bring a sword. So all that kumbaya nonsense they be talking about, Jesus, don't worry about that. Because this church that Jesus live in ain't even in the Old Testament. So when we go into the so-called New Testament, we see that this word church is ecclesia. I'm going to jump over to Matthew 16:18, actually first, because it's a little scripture they love to throw out there. It sounds churchy. It sounds religious and good, brothers and sisters. I'm going to tell y'all from St. Matthew 16:18. And I say unto thee, thou art Peter. Upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Now, the first red flag we should see for this word church is there's no analog to it in the Old Testament. That means that no word that they had in the Old Testament or in the original Hebrew is an analog to this word that they translated as church. Now, when we break down Matthew 16:18, for those that have read the book, I've told y'all about Red Letter Bible, and it has this beautiful, I'll show it to you first time here, because I want to show everybody how to properly read the word. So when you hear these words from these pastors, you can go home and do just what I'm doing right here and break this thing down to see if what that man or woman is telling you is real. Because a lot of folks be just yapping. That's all I'm going to say. They just be saying stuff. Words matter. Don't let nobody convince you that words do not matter. Words change. They matter. And I'm going to show you how much they matter. I'm going to show you. That's the thing. I don't just be yapping. I got receipts. So we go and break this down to the interlinear. And we see that let's go first to that word church. So he was talking, I'm going to break thou art Peter. Now, first of all, the word Peter, Peter comes from Petros. That's the word that he's calling Peter. So what essentially is happening here is the Messiah is given he's kind of doing a play on words when he says that, you're Peter and upon this rock I'll build my church, because the word Peter, which comes from Petros, which I believe I have over here, as a matter of fact, already there. Petros means rock or a stone. That's what Peter's name is. Peter's name meant rock, and Petros actually was like a rock or a cornerstone. And for those who know building, the cornerstone was like your foundation. It was the important thing that you had. That upon that rock, it had to hold the weight of everything else. So you had to make sure that your foundation was good. So he was saying that upon Peter and upon that rock, play on words, he was going to build his ecclesia. Ecclesia. So don't say church. He said ecclesia. So what is this word ecclesia? Ecclesia, that's Petros. We're going to get rid of that one for now. Petros, ecclesia, means a gathering of citizens called out from their homes into a public place. An assembly. Okay, wait a minute. Assembly. Now let's go back to where we were before. This is still that same advanced options. If you see in red here, it says there are options set in advanced options, because Blue Letter Bible is so good. It'll actually tell you, hey, you still got some stuff set up. Well, that's fine. I want to keep that because I want to see if assembly is in the KJV. And what do you know? The word assembly does appear there. And there's the Hebrew analog for that word assembly. If we come down here, let's see if we can find to their assembly, Quahel. Okay, Kahal. And it means assembly, a company, a congregation, an assembly. for evil counsel, war, or invasion, religious purpose. They didn't do religious back then, so they gathered for purposes of worship. That would be the proper way to say it. Remember, there was no religion. Rome and all of that introduced religion. Even all the stuff that we see that we call pagan religions, they weren't pagan. That's their culture. That's literally just their culture. It's actually kind of rude to the pagans. And, shout out to the pagans that be out here standing up to these Christians. They be trying to take their culture and take their ethnic way of life. Like, I just want to shout out the pagans right now. You know what I'm saying? Because I see a lot of pagans that come on here telling historical facts. I ain't saying that I agree what you agree with. I ain't saying that I'm going to join in on your practices, but I can support anybody that's trying to get cultural practices back in their proper alignment to go against this lie that we have been fed. They've been throwing everything into this melting pot called religion, and they've been using religion as a lens to look back. But it's important to understand that religion didn't exist back then. There was no such thing. It was your cultural practices. Cultural practices is why the Most High said, don't be marrying these folks outside of these places, because that's their culture. It's in them. It's what they do. Like I said this before when I talked about the reality of witchcraft from back in the day. That's a dope video in case you haven't saw it. I kind of watched it again recently, and I was like, oh, man, that's pretty interesting stuff I was bringing out. I be forgot sometimes. I'm like, oh, I did do this. And I said the same thing there, that these religious practices, like in Japan, every beginning of the new year, the women will dress up, and even sometimes the men, they'll get in traditional dress, they'll wear their yukatas and stuff like that, and they'll go out to the temple, and then they'll throw in their coins and then send up their prayers and do all the other religious rites. But if you ask every single one of them folks right after they got finished going to the temple and praying, hey, are you religious? They'll be like, heck no. They'll actually get offended if you say, because in Japan, they hate religion, because there's been so many instances of people that create these fake religions, and then they go around, start stabbing people and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, or they take all their money. Like, it's a real common thing in Japan. So they're real anti-religion in Japan, but they do things that over here in the West, they tell us they're religious. There was no such thing as religion back in this day. They were cultural practices. So when you see these definitions, it's important to understand that although these definitions are good and they have some truth in them, they also put a little extra mayonnaise on our burgers. And we want pure Yagyu beef without all the mayonnaise, and we want to taste our food. You know what I'm saying? So we just get rid of that mayonnaise of religion right here. And we're going to say that it was for an assembly. So, okay, an assembly is what it was there. Because, see, they even did it here. When the first few ones, an assembly of the people convened in a public place of the council, purpose of deliberating, the assembly of the Israelites, any gathering, throng of men assembled by chance tumultuously. Oh, here we go. In the Christian sense, here goes the mayonnaise. You got the little paint, the little paint gun with the mayonnaise like they do in McDonald's back in the day when I used to work at McDonald's many, many moons ago. And, they put the mayonnaise on with the little guns that you used to use to put caulk, the little caulking guns. They used to put a mayonnaise tube in there. There you go. They throwing the mayonnaise on it. They double gunning it too. One in each hand, just squeezing. An assembly of Christians gathered for worship in a religious meeting. Incorrect. Well, Christians do that, but the Hebrews didn't do that. A company of Christians, or those hoping for eternal salvation through Jesus Christ, observe their own religious rites, holding their own religious meetings, and manage their own affairs according to regulations prescribed for the body for order's sake. As it pertains to Christianity, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Because it's not according to what the Bible teaches, but what these Christians do, yeah. So already we got a red flag with ecclesia, because the assembly the church word doesn't exist in the so-called Old Testament. And I'll just use that for the sake of understanding today, even though I've given my soapbox about Old and New Testament. So the Bible has to agree. If the Bible doesn't agree, then it's our understanding that's the problem. And unfortunately, what a lot of times what humans will do is, instead, when they come to that point where it don't agree, they'll start making things say what it doesn't say to try to normalize it. That is where, if you have to go and change the definition of a word. I remember I was explaining one time to a brother about the firmament and stuff, and because he loved this thought process of space, and he just had that rooted in his soul, he didn't want to lose that aspect of space. So, of course, the word firmament was wrong. No, you can't change the definition of a word because it inconveniences your belief. That is incorrect. That is not how knowledge works. To fully say that ignorance is not a bad thing. Everybody, I'm ignorant of a lot of stuff. I'm just straight ignorant of a lot of things. And the fact that you realize that you're ignorant of a thing is actually the beginning of wisdom. When you realize that, okay, I'm actually pretty ignorant of a lot of this stuff, that's the beginning of wisdom. There's nothing wrong with being ignorant. Now, you become stupid when you're presented with facts and you just outright refuse those facts. You've done no research on the fact. You've done nothing. There's lots of folks that will probably argue with me about this whole thing about the church, and they're just going to repeat what they heard their pastor say or from all these different churches and all these Christians and all these commentaries, but nothing that they've ever read for themselves beyond what the Christian tells you is okay, because they're just going to go and type it in on Google and to find the first, Bible online answer that they get and be like, see? Nah, brother. You got to dig deeper than that. You got to dig deeper. Words matter. So if this word church is not in the Old Testament and they called it an assembly, then where in the world does this word church come from? And see, and even when we come here for the definition of assembly, a company of persons gathered for deliberation, legislation, worship, or entertainment. Now, we know this is correct because the assembly in the ancient Hebrew context was always where the elders would gather. The elders gathered together because the elders served in a judicial manner for the people. That's why when Moses first had led us out of Egypt, that he got told by his father-in-law, hey man, this is a lot there. You're gonna have to get some heads from the different people and get you some help because you can't administer the whole place, and you need some help. So this is where structure started getting built for people to handle the different things, because Judge Shar talks about this a lot, how we always go and run to the courts for stuff. These type of things used to be handled internally. We handled our issues internally. We ain't come on YouTube and start trying to run around. Anytime you see somebody that want to run to YouTube and so-called put somebody on blast, I'm going to tell you right here, 9 times out of 10, that's the nigga that's on some nonsense. 9 times out of 10, that's usually the nigga that's on some nonsense because they just trying to get the story out first and set the story. If you got the truth on your side, you could just sit back and truth will come out. You can speak when it's time to speak and whatever, but you don't got to argue with nobody when you armed with truth. And that's what we had back then. We had these different structures in place. That's what Solomon served as. When you see how he mediated between the women and the babies, when the woman was like, oh, well, that's my baby, and he did what he did. There's all these different. Job was one of those elders. That's why when he sat down with all the other elders, those was like basically like these judicial men that were in the city at that time. They were magistrates. They were honorable people that handled the situations of the people. Somebody had issues with a transaction, they came to you. Somebody had issues. Hey, I think wifey cheating on me and we got issues. They come to the elders. They didn't go to the nonsense. They handled it all internally. So that's just a little aside to give you some understanding of what the assembly was. So what is this word church? Church, Middle English search, from Old English circe or circe, place of assemblage, set aside for Christian worship, the body of Christian believers, Christians collectively, ecclesiastical authority of power, from Proto-Germanic kirka, source of Old Saxon kirka, Old Norse kirja, and Old Frisian zerka, Middle Dutch kirk, Old High German kura. A lot of them like to stick to the German definition, Kirch, because it meant like Lord's house and all these things. And they go, see, this is what church means. It means the Lord house. It was this. But the actual true definition of where this word comes from does come from circe. Circe actually is the source of this word. Words, especially where it came to the Anglos and stuff like that, they all had one form of a word, and then it kind of just split out into different sections depending upon the dialect and whatnot. It's the same thing that you see even today. Like people in Japan that are in Kansai have a Kansai dialect that sounds like a totally different language than if you were in Tokyo speaking Japanese, or the same thing in China. There's so many different dialects. That's why they kind of normalize everybody on Mandarin and Cantonese. Mandarin used to be the language of the officials, the official language, the language of all the guys that pre-doctors and high level people, and Cantonese was kind of the more common language among the other different languages. So they singularized everything back as best as they could. But there's still tons of different dialects, even in Chinese, and there's other dialects all over. Heck, even in America, you got different dialects and whatnot. I mean, Creole English in Louisiana is a little different from the Creole English that you have down in Haiti. That's right there. It's two different things, but just like that. Just in English alone. Sometimes, there's some folks that be speaking English. Jamaicans speak pure English. They be speaking English, but you can't understand it because it's a type of English that you're not used to. It's a separate dialect of English. So it's the same thing that happened with these words. Even though the word changed, the original word means. Because if you see Circe, I'm going to show you how this word has still maintained its original meaning. So this word Circe actually means circle. It's actually means a circle. Let me see if I still got that. We don't want that on here. Here we go. And there's another one. See, this was the alternate form Circe. They say it comes from the Proto-West Kirka, or the German or the ancient Greek Kuriton, which means the Lord's house. And then when you go into Circe, you see that it means alternate form of Circe or circle. So they keep pulling it back into Kirk, but it's really a Circe. It means circle. So how do I say it means circle? Look at the word Circe. I mean, it's obvious even from the word, the word's etymology. Circe, circle, circular. You know what I'm saying? Everything that this English language retains a lot of its ancient meaning. This is why I say English is a demonic language a lot of times. There's a lot of words I don't like to use because I understand their original connotation. So our very everyday language was based upon nonsense, and I will prove it. So there is also a goddess. Her name was Circe, the Latin spelling, or also Kirk, and her translation was hoop, round, circle. Remember, circle, Circe, hoop, round. There's so much you could go into about hoops and loops and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not going there tonight. Kirk, or Circe, was a goddess of sorcery, pharmakia. Wait, that should sound familiar for those who go to the pharmacy. Oh, wait, no, the pharmacy is good and it's natural and it's normal. The doctor who gives you a prescription from your your pharmacy, that you go and fulfill this prescription to get this substance that was created in the lab that's going to make you better, not give you side effects. That's sarcasm for those who don't figure it out. Again, pay attention. Who was skilled in the magic of transmutation, illusion, and necromancy. She lived in the mystical island of Aia with her nymph companions. Nymphs are basically a lot of female gods, even male gods that were called nymphs and stuff like that. They were often attributed with like lustiness and whatnot, which Circe actually is, because part of this story they were going to talk about. They don't give you the full, but I'll tell you some extra. With when Odysseus came to her island, she transformed his men into beasts. But with the help of the god Hermes, he overcame her and forced her to end the spell. Kirk's name is derived from the Greek verb kirkou, meaning to secure with rings or hoop around, a reference to the binding power of magic. Keep that in mind. Kirk's island of Aia was located in the far west near the earth, encircling river Oceanus. Her brother Ait's realm on the far east was similarly named Aia or Ia. So she was from Cirque, hope, which means to loop around, meaning to secure with rings or hoop around, a reference to the binding power of magic. One of the things that Circe did is when Odysseus came in, some of the dudes and that's what you see here on this relief that they have. She's turned them into a pig man. That's what you're seeing. Body of a man, pigtail all back there, and he's got the little pig head. She turned them into animals in her palace, and Odysseus basically got her to leave off of it by saying, okay, I'll stick around and I'll hang with you. And then she became like a goddess of hospitality. She started giving him, lots of stuff. She invited him into her bed quarters. She, gave grand feasts and all this. And he ended up spending a whole year in nothing but pleasure living on there because she wanted to keep him over there because, whenever she liked the dude, she'd keep the dude around. There was some other woman that she actually turned into a monster because the dude turned her down and she was like, what? You don't want me? And the woman that he really wanted, she turned him into like a sea goddess or a sea god or whatever. Here's another thing from Mythopedia talking about the Greek goddess Circe. And here you got her with her pharmakia. Circe was an immortal Greek goddess and sorceress, the daughter, in most accounts, of Helios and Oceanid, Perse, and thus the sister of Aetes and Pasiphae. She lived on the island of Aia, located on either the eastern or western edge of the world. Circe is perhaps best known for her role in Odysseus, where she turns a few of Odysseus' men into pigs, but is forced by the resourceful Odysseus to turn them back. Before Odysseus leaves, she gives him an important advice and instructions on how to get home. She's also, talks about her and her other myths and whatnot, where she did all her things. And Circe was a popular figure in ancient literature as well as art, where she was often represented with Odysseus or with humans she transformed into animals. Today in antiquity, she's often seen as a symbol of the dehumanizing pursuit of pleasure, which causes human beings to turn into animals. So, Circe, this is an interesting thing. It's like, man, it seems like this hoop, these circles, and we keep getting into this, this Circe thing and whatnot. And then, I talked bad about the Christian fathers before, but there's this dude Tellulus, man. I don't see all the things from Tellulus, so I'm not going to say he was a good guy or whatever. But in this one particular writing, that Tertullian, I'm sorry, his name was Tertullian, not Tellulus, Tertullian. That Tertullian had was actually he was cooking. He was cooking, and he talks about how heathen matters got into Christianity. Where am I want to start? Give me a sec. Yeah, I want to give a full context of what he was talking about. I'll start at chapter 5. In the matter of their origins, as these are somewhat obscure but little known. Now, this is Tertullius talking. This is from what was it called? I forget the name of his writing that this was called. The Populae, I believe it was that he was in. I believe this one was called De Populae in one of his writings. It says, in the matter of their origins, these are somewhat obscure, but little known to many of us. Our investigations must go back to a remote antiquity, and our authorities be none other than books of heathen literature. Various authors are extant who have published works on the subject. The origin of the games, as given by them, is this. Timaeus tells us that immigrants from Asia under the leadership of Tyrrheus, who was in contrast about his native kingdom, had succumbed to his brother, settled down in Etruria. Well, among other superstitious observances under the name of religion, they set up their new home public shows. The Romans, at their own request, obtained them skilled performers. The proper seasons, the name too for it, as said, they are called ludi, from lidi. And though Varro derives the name of ludi from ludus, that is, from play, as they called the luperci, also ludi, because they ran about making sport. Still, that sporting of young men belongs in this view to festal days and temples and objects of religious veneration. However, it is of little consequence the origins of the name, when it is certain that the thing springs from idolatry. The Liberalia, under the general designation of Ludi, clearly declared the glory of Father Bacchus. For Bacchus, these festivities were first consecrated by grateful peasants. In return for the boon, he conferred on them, as they say, making known the pleasure of wine. I'm going to get to that. The Constanulia were called Ludi at first and were in honor of Neptune, for Neptune has the name Consus also. Thereafter, Romulus dedicated to equine, to Mars, and though they claim the Consula too for Romulus, on the ground that he consecrated them to Consus, the god. Now, I'm going to skip down here to go to, I want to think it's in chapter 7. Because what he's talking about is the circuses that were in Rome. The public games that they had, the Roman circus, the first Roman circus that they had was called the Circus Maximus. It was in Rome, and it was actually with horses, where they raced horses around a long round track that they had. The little middle part, that was separated, that designated the track was called the spine, and they raced horses and gave on displays in these big round centers, and that's where we get the modern connotation for the circus. And this was talked about even back during this time. I lost it because I was actually reading this to somebody else, so I apologize to y'all. I want to get to where he talked about. Hold on. I'm actually going to do this. There we go. In the matter of their origins, as these are somewhat obscure but little known many among us, our investigations must go back to a Greek antiquity, and our authorities be none other than the books of heathens literature. So I was in the right place. I just didn't read down far enough. So I'm going to go to right here. This goes also to taint the origin. You cannot surely hold to be good, which has sprung from sin. Actually, I'm gonna read up a little bit more. Therefore, thereafter, Romulus dedicated to Aquaria and Mars, though they claim Consilia too for Romulus. They will, I'm skipping that part. I'm sorry, y'all. Excellent consort, truly. And still, I have reckoned just and righteous by the Romans themselves. I may not say by God. This goes also to taint the origin. You cannot surely hold that to be good, which has sprung from sin. That's what I wanted. From shamelessness, from violence, from hatred, from fratricidal founder, from a son of Mars. Even now, at the first turning post in the Circus, there is a subterranean altar to this same Consus, with an inscription to this effect: Consus great in council, Mars in battle, mighty tutelar deities. The priests of the state sacrifice added on the nuns of July, the priests of Romulus and the Vestals on the 12th before Coletus of September. In addition to this, Romulus instituted games of honor of Jupiter, Fertius, and the Tarpeian Hill, according to the statement. Piso has handed down to us, and called both Tarpeian and Capilone after him. After him, Numa Populus instituted games to Mars and Rodrigo, for they also have invented a goddess of rust. Then Tullius Hostilius and Ancus Marcus and various others in succession did the like, as to idols in whose honor these games were established. Ample information is to be found in the pages of Tertullius, Tranquillus, and we need to say no more to prove the accusation of idolatrous origin. So what Tertullian is saying right here is these things that came from heathens are sinful in nature, and we need to avoid them. He's talking here in particular about the circus. The circus that was originally set up with worship unto different various gods. Even the very name Circus, look at the name Circus, is what we again from Kirk, hoop, round, circe. Where do you have your circus? It's in a big round tent under the big top. And then what do they have in the circus? You have animals. You have all the lions and tigers and bears and oh my. So is it coincidence that in a circular place for pleasure and entertainment, you have animals? Animals that just so happen to align with a goddess who created animals in her place, which was known as a hoop. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. There's another thing he said here too, which I want to show y'all as well. This is a little extra to show you, because what this is. So I'm going to read this one here. To follow out my plan in regard to places, the circus is chiefly consecrated to the sun. Again, key word right there. The circus is chiefly consecrated to the sun. What day did they change the Sabbath to? We know Sunday was venerated for the sun god. All of this stuff is related. So you go to a church which has roots in the word circle and circus on a Sunday for the sun god. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't believe in coincidences. I know y'all who know me, who've heard me listen to me for a while. I don't believe in coincidences. Whose temple stands in the middle of it, whose image shines forth from its temple summit. For they have not thought it proper to pay sacred honors underneath a roof to an object they have itself in open space. Those who assert that the first spectacle was exhibited by Circe, and in honor of the sun, her father, as they will have it, maintain also the name of Circus was derived from her. Now, mind you, this is a church father, Tertullian. This is Tertullian talking about this. This is a translation of his work. This was originally in Latin. So this is this man talking about it. This ain't my commentary. This is the church fathers. The church fathers. I'm going to read it again. Those who assert that the first spectacle was exhibited by Circe, and in honor of the sun, her father, as they will have it, maintain also the name of Circus was derived from her. Plainly, then the enchantress did this in the name of the parties whose priestess she was. I mean, the demons and spirits of evil. Bro is cooking. Like I said, when they telling the truth, hey, I ain't saying all of them was wrong 24/7. I haven't gotten too far into this, man. I just mainly found this work when I was doing my search for circuses and stuff. And in this work right here, in these particular books and chapters, the man is cooking. That's all I'm saying. He's cooking. The man's got a whole full course meal going on right now. What an aggregation of idolatries you see accordingly in the decoration of the place. Every ornament of the circus is a temple by itself. The eggs are regarded as sacred to the casters by men who are not ashamed to profess faith in their production from the egg of a swan, which was no other than Jupiter himself. The dolphins vomit in forth in honor of Neptune. Wait, what? I'll throw that one there. The dolphins vomit forth in honor of Neptune. Hold on. I got one in here. I got it in here. Oh, dude, I don't have it. It's lost. I don't have it. I could have sworn I had it. Oh, it was called De Speculatis. That's the name of the book. The Hero was by Tertullian. For those who wanted to read it for yourself, it's called De Speculatis, and it was by Tertullian. I'm gonna show you what he was talking about. Like, Tertullian was cooking, man. He was cooking. I had already searched for it. I must have closed it by accident. I apologize. But y'all get to see the behind what I do. I don't mean to show no for shame. The dolphins vomit forth. The dolphins vomit forth. The dolphins vomit forth. In the name of Neptune, the dolphins vomit forth. How many of us have seen this? How many of y'all probably even got a water fixture with a dolphin on it, not even knowing that this is an old antiquity thing that was assigned for Neptune, that they did back in antiquity as offerings to Neptune? It's a common thing. Again, we grew up with this. This mess was always around us. This is what we see. How many of y'all have seen that before? Give me a one. Have you seen, y'all? I know we've all seen this before. Give me one if you've seen it before. Give me two if you like. Nah, I've never seen a fountain before. But I know we've all seen this because we grew up in this place of nonsense. We grew up in this place of witchcraft. And here it is where this man from back in the day, he's telling you clearly, hey, this right here was offerings to Neptune. And look, this is in somebody's house right there on their pool. They probably paid good money. And I bet you they go to church and they say they're a Christian and they love the Most High. But they have offerings to Neptune in their house. See, I bring this up because I want y'all to understand we can't be comfortable with nothing that you grew up with but the word of Yah. And even then, you have to make sure you had the accurate word of Yah, properly dissected. This mess is coming. I was today years old to learn that this was done for Neptune worship back in the day. Again, things don't change. Things don't change. It's the same thing. That he said they vomit forth. What are they doing? What are they doing? It's amazing to see how much just witchcraft we are inundated with on a day-to-day basis, and we don't even realize it. This man literally was breaking it down. This is what they used to have in these different Roman Colosseums. And that's where all this stuff comes from, with these statues that, always having water fixtures and all that stuff. All this stuff comes from Rome. We're in the second leg of Rome, in case y'all haven't figured this out yet. If you look at the statue of Daniel, the legs, which people call Rome, they always, look over the fact that there's two legs. There's two legs in Rome. In Revelations, it talks about how the beast had a wound and it would recover. And in Christianity, they want to show you that, somebody's going to run up on Nikolai Carpathia and shoot him in the head, and he's just going to get up magically and be like, I'm back. Nah, that wound was the first leg of Rome when Rome was said to have fallen, but it didn't fall. It just got weakened, and then they restructured it under religion. The Roman... I remember my conversation with ChatGPT just a few days ago when I brought that out, where it corrected it. It was actually, no, it was a Roman emperor that changed the day of worship. How was a Roman emperor deal? That was so controversial. Even the fact when he called Nicaea, it was controversial because it's like, bro, you're an emperor. You don't come in here and deal with the religion, the faith. You don't deal with that. You're a politician. Why are you here? Because he recognized that we had to get everybody out of Rome from, when you're using the military to grab everybody. That's what Rome did. It just beat everybody down. Well, that didn't work too long. Because, you may whoop some folks, but they're going to secretly hold them grudges. And as soon as you show weakness, you finna have a rebellion on your hand. So they're like, we got to go for something deeper. We got to unite everybody by this religion. This is why the Christian faith has so much nonsense in it, because you see this stuff. Again, there's churches that have water fixtures with doggone dolphins vomiting forth. Same thing. Images of Setia, so-called as goddess of sowing, of Messia, so-called goddess of reaping, of Tutulia, so-called goddess as a fruit-producing deity. Load the pillars. In front of these, you have 3 altars to 3 gods, mighty, great, mighty, victorious. I often think about the gold, silver, and bronze in the Olympic Games. They reckon these Samothrace, the huge obelisk. How many obelisks does America has? As Hermelites affirms, to set up in public to the sun, its inscription, like its origins, belonging to Egyptian superstition. I'll send you to Egypt by ships. Cheerless were the demon gathering with their Mater Magna, as so she presides over the Eurypus. Consensus, as we has mentioned, lies hidden underground at the Musian goals. The 2 sprang from an idol, for they will have it that Mercia is goddess of love, and to her that spot they have consecrated as a temple. See, Christian, how many impure names have taken possession of the circus? You have nothing to do with a sacred place which is tenanted by such multitudes of diabolic spirits. So, out of the church father's own mouth, you should have nothing to do with the circus. Now, is this just tripping? We just say, church, blah, 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 church and the circus. Wait a minute. This is from our boy Kanye. Remember when he did Donda, no church and all that? Look, let me find a better picture. I had a better picture of Donda that I misplaced. I thought I had a better picture than this one, but that one I guess will do. I had a more of a above the ground picture with it, but I can't find it. I must have gotten rid of it. Oh, well, it is what it is. This is the Donda Church. Actually, I'm just going to go and search for it. We're going to do that. Donda. Yeah, here it is. See right there. Donda Kanye West. There's another better image of the church that he had where you can see it. Here's another one here. You see it right there in the circle. This was done by a purpose. These dudes know what they be doing, man. They know what they be doing. He literally did it in a circular arena and had the church in the middle of the circle, the circus with the performers running around on the outside doing all their nonsense. He put it in the middle of a circle. I thought it was weird. I didn't have this understanding. Here's the other one I had. I didn't have an understanding of what the word church meant. But when I saw Donda, but it always was weird to me and it bothered me because I'm like, why does he have a church in the middle of a circle? Why is there a church in the middle of this circle? Because that's what it originates from. It's also from a witchcraft that controls and bewitches men to bring them down from the estate of man into that of an animal. And it's run by a female deity. Ever wonder why there's no men in the church? Why is it that most of the men in the church are effeminate and play on the other side of the field? They were part of the Libiquita community. Ever wonder about that? Why most men in church, they give their power. They may not be Libiquita, but they give their power to women. These the dudes that come from that happy wife, happy life type of stuff that be in the church. Ever wonder why there's no power in the church to keep strong men? Because it was never designed. The assembly of Yah where that's again, as much as I dislike a lot of the teachings and I dislike a lot of their chart is garbage. Number one, the Hebrews were Negroes only. They out here trying to give Mexicans and all these other folks that are just basically Anglo by a separate tribe. They come from Spain originally. All these folks, they forget that Spanish folks are just immigrants from Spain that came over here before the American, the British did. Like they're still from Spain, bro. They're still Anglo adjacent. They're still Anglo. They're a part of the tribe. Like some of them have mixed with us because of all kinds of stuff. But them extra light skin, like the Fat Joes, like it baffles me that Fat Joe was allowed to run around saying nigga. And I'm like, this man got blue eyes. This dude got blue eyes, bro. he is darn near translucent. Like, are you kidding me right now? You know what I'm saying? So I don't agree with the chart and stuff. But one thing that they do in the camps that I do like is they push family values and they manage to retain men because they're not based on a system that has a female goddess as its head. We are in a matriarchal society, y'all. I mean, there's a whole female god that when you come into Ellis Island, you get greeted by the female god with the torch. Like, when you go to court, they got the female goddess outside holding scales that is so unequally balanced, it ain't even funny. Like, look, there's so I might have to do another episode to break down all the femaleness of America. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason why it was a whore riding the beast. The great whore, Babylon, the great whore. It's always personified as a female because look at what's going on right now. We live in a society where a woman can write another man's down who ain't even the DNA test showed that it ain't even his kid, but the female judge will make that man pay for that baby that ain't even his, or give them an unfair ruling because we just show mercy to a woman regardless, no matter how ridiculous and evil she is and how twisted and manipulative she does. All she do is she come and we just get on emotions. Emotions. Everything's emotional. Like a lot of y'all may not like that I'm saying that because you're getting your emotions because you're, especially women, because you're so used to being fed that. Even some men, our women are queens. Sit your chump simp behind down. Sit down. Because we were told by Solomon, don't give your power to a woman. He told us, and he's a good example. Whereas King Lemuel's mama told Kara's son not to do that. Want me to give you an example of that? John the Baptist. That king was so enthralled by that girl dancing, and he done got tipsy. He in there partying, and he was tipsy. This girl done danced, and she got him feeling good. He like, girl, you're so fine. I drink your bath water. As the king, I'll give you anything. What you want, girl? Just say it. You got it. And he didn't think about her evil, wicked mama that in her heart, letting the devil use her, working with the serpent, gonna come against that man of Yahoo out there minding his business. That man was out there eating his vegetable lifestyle, living off the land, not in the goofy city, doing what he doing. He got to anoint the Messiah. He out there living life, and this heifer want him dead. And this stupid king, because he gave his power to a woman, allowed this. That's a circus. That is a circus. That is pharmakia because he allowed manipulation to come in. See, witchcraft don't always got to come in through you sipping the potion. It could be just from the fact that y'all niggas be sipping the simp juice and you be giving your power to a woman because they done grew you men up to think that because if I get some from a woman because I get coochie, I'm the best man out there. I'm the best man because I get to lay with all the women. I lay with broken women with broken souls. So that makes me a great man because I am using the authority that the Most High gave me just to fulfill my own needs. That's the translation of what you're doing. This is why most men ain't end up in that church. There was some men in the church for a while, when we was drinking that Kool-Aid, but nobody's going to be on there because we see the gynocentric of this nation, and the church itself is gynocentric. Don't be no man up in that church. And it causes confusion and nonsense. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. This right here kind of ticks me off. It's going to be hard for me to play a lot of this because I be wanting to just go in there and A lot of folks ain't gonna like this, but I think the early 1900s had it right when we would just slap folks, because every one of these females up in here need to be slapped. Every last one of them. They all need to be slapped. I know some of y'all may have seen this, but this is what the church will do. Hold on. Wait. I don't know if it's playing audio. Hold on. It might not be playing audio. Let me reshare it because I don't think I shared it with audio. So let me stop. I'm going to share the screen. Yep, we're going to share audio and we're going to share it again just to make sure I shared it properly. And I hate how YouTube, Facebook. Hold on a second. So, first thing you're going to notice is you don't hear no bass and no voices that's in agreement. So that should be the red flag right there. Ain't not there's probably little to if no men in attendance because all you hear is female voices. Now, for those who need context, who maybe not have heard it, they asked the kids to say what you're thankful for, and the lady said, "I don't want no surface level thank yous. I want to hear something deep and something real." So the girl said what she said, and then she's like, "I ain't gonna go there." So now they chiding her and they correcting her. Facebook, man. It's no sound. Hold on, y'all not hearing any sound? Let me see. Hold on. Hold on. I don't know why it's not playing any sound. Let me try and remove it and add it again. Because I sure as heck shared it with sound. Also share audio. Ah, that's so dumb. I see what it did. Yeah. It's that's so dumb. I see what when you share the window separately, it changes your setting and then it turns it off. StreamYard, for them to raise the price, do some stupid stuff. So I'm sorry, y'all. Let me play this again. And that's Facebook muting it.
I don't want to hear you thankful for your teacher. I don't want to hear you thankful for your friends.
Let me know if y'all hear it now.
I don't want to hear you thankful for your teacher. It's not about that right now. You're going to say what you really thankful for.
Thankful for my stepmom because she's, I can't say that. Thankful for my stepmom because she's,
we're gonna start again. And it ain't gonna be just that. You're gonna get it together.
Okay, cool. Appreciate y'all.
Because I'm done. Backside, enough is enough. Amen. So get it together. You can be mad, I don't care. But you're gonna get it together.
I'm thankful for my stepmom because she listens to me better than my actual mom. Thank you.
Pause. Oh, pause that. Pause that. No. Right now, in the name of Jesus, I speak to the enemy that's trying.
So y'all already know she was on some nonsense because she came with the nonsense like Anybody that picked up the mic like that, you know nonsense is about to ensue. Just let y'all know. Facebook.
Right now, open the door. Open the door. See, what you will not do, see, the word of God says we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but against the principalities of the darkness that try to do stronghold. And what we will not have right now in the name of Jesus is that. So the enemy that's trying to live in you, making you think that, we cast that out right now in the mighty name of Jesus. Whether you like it or not, because you will bow down to the Most High God.
Oh my God.
And mom, don't you freak out over that. You keep laying hands. You keep praying. You keep moving. All of my prayer warriors, my prophets and prophetess come forth. In Jesus' name. It's not a run. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. In the name of Jesus.
Look at this simp nigga. I told you there was no male voices in there because this nigga right here, I have nothing nice to say about this man because if you can sit in there as a man and watch them just tear down, this young girl did exactly what they asked her to do. And because they didn't like her answer, they're going to call it the devil. And then they're going to reassure the mama, who's probably a whole devil, because that sounded like her in the beginning. I don't care if you don't like it. Who is that to talk like that to your kids in front of everybody? Why do we have to embarrass our children in front of everybody over the slightest little thing? You know, parents can be wrong. Parents can be wrong. You shouldn't embarrass your kids just to be embarrassed. Just because your parents did it doesn't always mean that you should do the same thing. Our parents didn't know, and they had a lot of traumas that they was carrying with us. It's time for us to stop passing forward traumas. This little girl spoke her mind. She did what they asked her to do. And now look at them. They finna sit here and try to pray her away because she didn't give the Christian churchy answer. That's witchcraft. That's manipulation. That is control. That is what this is. We're looking at Circus in the modern form. This manipulation here, this is literally witchcraft. That girl said what she said. There was nothing demonic about what she said. There was no devil in what she said. That woman, none of them chicks in there got any kind of sense whatsoever because look at they retarded behinds right here. I hate Facebook. It keeps doing this and mutes it after.
Apply the blood of Jesus right now over every youth. We apply the blood of Jesus right now. Right now, we apply the blood of Jesus right now over everyone in here and on the line. In Jesus' name. Right now, in the name of Jesus. Mom, you hold your head up. You do everything that the Father has instructed you to do about your child. I don't care what it look like. I don't care what it sound like. But you are going to do.
Now, then she turns around and gives some reassurance to the real devil. To the actual devil, the one that brought about the problem. Because again, this is this church. This is the modern church. This is what the church do. And when you see the witchcraft, even the church father talked about the circuses. Why in the world do we have a building that's named after a circus, that's named after a goddess? Why is that the place where we come to meet the most? Like, nah, bro. When they were talking about in Acts, they were in people's houses, man. What we're having right now is an assembly. This is an assembly. This is more akin to what was done, except we don't have a public square because they've gotten rid of community and anything worth community, so we got to do it digitally. But this is the public square. I'm just standing up on the public square saying what I got to say. This is the assembly. This is where it's at. If you stop going to church, because I know I struggled with this in the beginning too. When I really stopped going to the building, you still got that ingrown feeling because they done mesmerized us and put this witchcraft in us that if you're not going somewhere on a Sunday, you're somehow displeasing the Most High. Get that crap out of your spirit. That is not true. That is not true. It is manipulation and control to keep that money coming in. That's what they want. Hold on, man. That's what I'm talking about right here. He was supposed to step in and let them know this is her truth, not yours. So back up off her. She was 100% honest. The whole congregation is false. So far from you, brother. That's it right there, brother. That is exactly it. As the man, he should have stepped in, but see, he couldn't do that because he would have been out of order. they would have called him out of order. And they would have started yoke-a-cocoing and po-po-po-poing on him and slanging oil at him too. But looking at the way he rolled, he looked like he ain't got a spine nowhere up that back. He just a jellyfish. Letting yourself be run by women. And I ain't saying that there's some places where a woman can't, because again, I told y'all, my mom taught me. But my mom let it be. My mom ain't put no mess like this. Ain't put no garbage like this. If you spoke your facts, you spoke your facts. What she would have done is she would have been like, you know what? What we'll do is after church, y'all meet me in my office. And she would have talked to them and had a mediation session. And she would have had a conversation with them. They'd have had that conversation offline and continued the service to do whatever you was doing. That's the proper way to do it. That's when you have a community mind, not this religious nutcase mind. These jokers be coming with all kinds of stupid stuff that ain't even in scripture. You asked that child to speak the truth. She spoke the truth in obedience to what you say, and now you mad because her truth don't line up to what you want? That's control. That is witchcraft. And I'm sorry to say it, but our women are number one when it comes to this mess. These psychic prayers they be praying in the church. Again, why name the building of the Most High after these demonic things that even the very father of the so-called church himself called demonic? Tertullius cooked in that part of the book that I read. The man cooked. I ain't got nothing bad to say about him. So far, all the church fathers, the so-called church fathers, I wouldn't mind having a conversation with bro from what I've read so far. I ain't saying he on it. I ain't saying he gets my approval. I'm just saying what I read of his writing so far, he was spot on. Because he even talked about it then, about being mindful of paganism creeping its way in. And that's what we see. How many people, I know so many Christians that just did backflips when Kanye, he's saved now. He don't tell you that on that porch over there with him is Marilyn Manson, the dude that's the new head of the satanic church. That same man that's there in the middle of that church that they got right there in the middle of that circus. Instead of doing chariots, though, they're doing the cars, which are measured in horsepower. What do they call a car? What do they say? You got how many horses? It's measured in horsepower. So it's a modern chariot that's going in circles. Just like, again, Tertullian said it about how they had the horses and the races. And he just said it. We just read it. And he's giving you an example of it right here. But people who don't have the eyes to see, they just like, this is art. I hear other Christians, they'll say that these Christian men that's just goofy and following this, this art. He's artistically presenting himself. It's art. These same dudes that put skulls on their desk. You got a skull in your body. You got a skull. Idiot. The skulls represent death. Duh. Unless you're a doctor and you got a full skull over there, you teaching anatomy, it represents death, my guy. Why would you have an image of death on your desk? And again, unless you are a doctor with a skull that is set up for medical practices, or like a skeleton set up for some kind of pursuit of knowledge to show anatomy, why would you have a decorated skull around you? Why would you tattoo skulls on your body? Why? I'm just saying. This is the problem with modern Christianity. This is why we have to decode it and make it for what it look at all the people standing around on the side. This is witchcraft, y'all. And that mess right there just goes to show there's so much more mess that I can show you the history of the circus. Again, look, the circus in the circle, in the big top. You got all the different performers and all this stuff going on. This is actually from a podcast where a dude talks about it, where they were the same thing, how the circuses used to be something different. Everybody talks about the circus maximus. The word circus derived from the Latin word circus, meaning circle or ring. The Roman circus was an open-air venue used for public events, notably chariot races, gladiatorial combat, and other forms of entertainment. If you ain't got a choir, they ain't trying to come to your church. If you ain't got the kids ministry, if your kids ain't taking field trips and going to cool places, a lot of people don't want to come to your church because they don't want to deal with their kids in there. They want to send their kids off so they can look around and see what these single mamas can find them a new daddy to help them fix. That's why the church becomes the resting home for hyenas, because it's a matriarchal nonsense and it's full of witchcraft. So women that are used to manipulating men in the world come to the church to try to get the same results. And when they don't get the results from the church because the Most High ain't this genie in the bottle that you can just pull, that's when they go outside and start trying to get these crystals and all this other nonsense and align chakras and all this other crap because they don't want to submit. They want power and control. They don't want to hear the truth. That young girl spoke her truth and they rebuked her for it. The church is not the place of the Most High. The place of the Most High is in the assembly. He said one or two are gathered. He didn't say one or two are gathered in the church. He said gathered together. We don't have to go to the temple no more. That's what that's the funny thing. That's so backwards about Christianity is the Messiah literally came so we don't have to go to the temple no more to have communion with him. We don't have to go to no temple like that no more. But they wanted, all the other laws are gone, but forsake not together yourselves because we need that money. I mean, we're going to come praise the Most High. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying. This place is wicked, y'all. It's mad wicked. And again, we looked it up for ourselves. This word church in the blue letter Bible is not in the Old Testament. Assembly is the proper meaning and the proper word, the proper assemblage of people. This word church just comes from this word Circe, which has roots in this demonic witch called Kirk or Circe. From both names, they started to say, even Kirk. It's both names go back to this chick. And were they not acting? Man, look, don't even get me on the whole speaking in tongues in the star language or light language, rather. It's called light language. You ever want to know what real speaking in tongues, where that mess come from? Look up light language. Be careful, because some of that mess is demonic. I wanted to play a video tonight, but some of that stuff I was like, nah, I seen the one little nigga with a bunch of rocks on a stick and his little circle of beads, and he around here, Toyota Kandahia and all this. It's the same exact mess that they teach you of speaking in tongues or speaking in other languages. That's why other people down there were understanding them, because they were speaking in other languages. That's why Paul said you had to have an interpreter. Can't nobody interpret Shodakan Kia. Who gonna interpret that? Somebody just be making stuff up. I hear God saying, I hear the Lord saying that he is going to come and bless us tonight. I hear God saying that he is going to put blessings upon everyone who hears this. Hop up, hop up, hop up, hop up, on pop, hop on pop. Oh, I feel it. I hear the interpretation that God is saying that you are going to get a deeper revelation in it. The same stupid mess. It's easy to prophesy. It's always something positive. It's always something good. But true prophecy is when the prophet comes and step to you, that's usually when it's time for you to get right. That's usually with a word to say, hey, this is what's going on and you got to get right. Or something in your life is going wrong and you need to fix it. That's when prophets come to you. That's when they come. And they tell them that real, but people don't like that. They don't want to hear that. They want somebody to tell them their social security number and then tell them how blessed they gonna be, how they going to it. Oh, you going to a new level up. If you understood what going to a new level meant, you wouldn't be running around going Toyota, Hyundai, Kia, and all this other stupid mess these niggas be saying. You wouldn't do that. You'd be on your face crying because you know a big trail of hurt is about to come your way. Those of us that know when you get elevated, it's always some nonsense. It's pure nonsense. Before I got elevated, I went through divorce, got laid off, got all kinds of mess coming my way, all kinds of foolishness that came my way because I made a stand for the facts, for truth, because I looked at this world and called it for what it was. It's not. That's why I played my man. I'm not lonely. I'm just members only. You got to get to the point where it's like, hey, it's for y'all live and for y'all die. Forget this church and this nonsense and this mess. We getting back to the original ways that the Most High really called us to be. Not just to come in. I ain't saying don't get gathered, because again, in any way you can gather together. If you got a friend that you know that's on the same level, call them up. The community is what you build. You don't need no church for the community. Because look at that. Who needs that kind of community? Who needs that? That girl, I pray to y'all that girl get healed. I pray that the stepmom get her and take her away and do what she need to do with her. Because the mama full of crap. And you can clearly hear it because the way she talk, I don't care if you don't like it. How is that to talk? Like, again, you just embarrassing the child in front. Like, so what? To try to show that you got authority? Again, that's this control. Control is pharmakia. That's witchcraft. This mess full of witchcraft. You got jokers in there just as gay as they want to get on stage and talk about stuff. I can't remember the one pastor name talking about if he was there when the Most High was creating mankind, I would have told him to maybe make something in between. I'll punch. Oh, boy. Bro. That's the kind of mess that made me want to just throw things at a joker. Like, how dare you? How dare you? The created thing to try to counsel the creator. Who do you think you are? These jokers don't know who y'all is, bro. They really don't know who y'all is. Oh, dang. I know you seen the 70 vet. Like, that junk was wild, bro. I wanted to, man, my brother sent that thing to me. I wanted to go through the TV. I wanted to go through because he paid attention to that type of stuff. Man, look, I ain't got no love for these jokers no more. They just be lying. When Creflo Dollar publicly apologized for teaching tithes wrongly and publicly apologized for coming against the actual word for what it teaches about tithes, them pastors got together so fast to try to pull away from what he said because, he messing with the money. Pimps, no, hey, he messing up the game, bro. Well, there's too many tricks out here for you to be telling them how this thing work, bro. You can't be out here messing with the money, homie. Just because you out here going down don't mean we got to go down with you. We got to come and get together and make sure we keep the tricks coming in because we making money off of these folks. They be pimping these people for their money, using emotions. That's why you got so many women in church, because they emotional. You got weak men in there because they give their power to a woman and they are emotional instead of using God's God-given brain of rationale and coming out of your emotions. If you in emotions, you can't serve the Most High, straight up. The word happiness is not in the Bible. Most High is not concerned about your happiness. He's concerned about your obedience, straight up. Happiness is a byproduct of obedience. And that means when you learn and you cultivate your soul, and you tell your soul what to do. This is why David had to encourage himself in the Lord. Because your flesh and your soul is going to want to go with nonsense, especially us in this day and age, because we've been programmed with foolishness. I already showed you how we be around here with the Dolphins throwing up for Neptune. There's all kinds of stuff that we would just be engaged in and don't even realize it's nonsense. It's all witchcraft because we are under this goddess, which has got us in pleasure. She got you in pleasure and leisure and not in the truth. So what we learn is the word church is not in the Old Testament. This word church doesn't even, the analog of it doesn't even appear. The word assembly does. And this word ecclesia, which is actually translated as assembly, has been manipulated to be a church by the very folks who's out here trying to keep you in. I call it Balaam syndrome. I heard Judge Starr say this one time, that this place got us like the golden child. With the golden child, they couldn't do nothing to him. So what they was doing is they was putting blood in his porridge to get him to get tainted. It's just like what Tertullian said. If the taint of sin is going to taint it, they do. I call it the Balaam protocol. These jokers are studying the Balaam protocol. Get them to defile themselves, and we can keep them under control. We can keep them under our spell. We'll keep them with lovers of pleasure and love. We'll have the men thinking that pleasure is the ultimate goal for manhood. If you were able to go around and pleasure yourself with multiple women, not that you go around and you have multiple women that you have in your house and you raise them properly as wives and you have all your kids together and you build a business and you build generational wealth and you create a community and you work in the community to make your kids better than you. That's not a no. It's a little street nigga that run around and kill other niggas and then sleep with all the women and leave them. Just create bastards. We got to bring back the stigma for bastards. I don't care if you was born one or not. My dad was born a bastard, but what he did was he didn't pass that down to us as kids. And that's why I honor that man to the day I die. Because he broke that curse. None of my siblings have sired bastard children because my father broke that curse. My daddy did that. He didn't even have the guidance of the Most High like that. But he had that in him that the Most High put in him, and he ran with it, that he stopped creating bastards, because he said, I was raised without a father, but my kids will be raised with their father, and I'm going to have all my kids from one woman, and he stayed true to that. Stop being proud of having baby mamas and baby daddies, and if you made a mistake, make it so your kids don't make the same mistake. Instead of feeling some type of way, oh, well, if I hadn't did what I did, I wouldn't be who I. Shut up. Shut up. It was crap then and it's crap now. We need to take accountability for what we do. That's men and women, because men will do that too. Oh, well, I did it back. No, take accountability for what you do. See, the church don't teach you that. The church gonna make you feel good in your sin. Well, we all sin and fall short of the glory of God, brother. Jesus understands we're not perfect. Nobody can be perfect. Anybody who tells you that you can be perfect, oh, well, they're just being overly religious. They're Judaizing. Pass that offering plate around. We got to get out of this nonsense. The church has made us complacent with nonsense, because it is witchcraft that keeps you off the goal. That girl got all kinds of drama and trauma, rather, pulling on her because of religion. How much trauma have we got on us because of religion? Because we tried to aspire to something that ain't realistic. Because you got these Christian rappers that be running around here rapping like they super. That's why the type of folks y'all hear me listening to is different. I listen to different dudes. Like Aha Gazelle, shout out Aha Gazelle, shout out Hezekiah, shout out Eshawn Burgundy, shout out my man Kieran the Light, shout out all of the real ones who's out here following Yah for real. That's being real through their art forms. That's being real through how they present things. It's time out to stop acting like you perfect and everything you did was for a reason and something like that. Well, I was out in the streets and, I killed like 9 niggas, but I really felt like God meant that to happen to make me who I am. Because if I hadn't killed them niggas, I wouldn't be who I am. Shut up. You know how stupid you sound? You know how dumb you sound? And ladies, it sounds just as dumb when you say it too. Well, I had my little whole phase, so, it's just something we do. Stop glorifying it. Oh, well, it don't matter. It do matter. That's a part of the curses from Deuteronomy 28. That you'll lie with your wife that another man is lying with. I don't want to take part of that curse. The curses is off. I'm not taking part of that curse. If you a man and you have no kids, you should not have to take no woman that's got bodies on her. I'm just going to put it out there for you, brother. I know it's going to be harder. I know it's harder to find a chick. But if you respect yourself, you want a woman with no bodies on her. I don't want a woman that done did everything she big and bad enough to do with another man, that done had imbibed another man's prototype progeny. I don't want that. I've settled for that mess before, and that was on me for settling for women who were beneath my station, and I will not do that no more. You're talking to a reformed simp. I used to simp. I'm speaking as a reformed simp. The whole happy wife, happy life, all that nonsense that I was fed by women in church. They was too busy talking to the men, but not talking to their daughters who was out there hoeing and sewing. Nah, if you a woman and you ain't got no kids, you shouldn't want to go get with no man with kids. I say the same thing for y'all. You shouldn't get no man with no kids. And if you're a woman that has definitely has kept herself, a man too that has kept yourself, that is the best thing to do. And I say that as a person who didn't, and I knew better. I was an idiot. If I understood the value in that, I would have been did that. But it's different for men than a woman. I'll tell you that straight up. Y'all women ain't gonna like that. Oh, was it men? How was it? We're not the same. You've been lied to, madam. I'm sorry. If I'm stuck on the side of the road, ain't nobody finna come stop to help me. If a woman's stuck on the side of the road, even if she looked like a shoe, somebody's going to stop and help her because they're going to see a woman and feel moved to help. If they see me on the side of the road, they're going to be like, oh, bro, he on the side of the road. He's safe. Okay, he good. If I'm pushing, y'all get help to push. But after I get on the side of the road, they good. They ain't going to, they're finna go keep it moving. That's because I'm a man. There's a different expectation on men than women. So you can't sit here and try to analog. Your first thing to do is say, but what about men? But what about women? That's your problem. You have to have a self-awareness. The church teaches you to have all kinds of excuses. Oh, we all fall short. No. Oh, what a wretched man I am. Let's properly quote our brother Paul. That which I want to do, I don't do. That which I don't want to do, I do. Oh, what a wretched man I am. He was self-aware. When you're self-aware, that is how you follow the Most High in his proper way. You have to be aware that the place that you're going is called a circus. And when you go in there, you're going to see circus acts and animals and nonsense. You need to be self-aware. And that self-awareness ain't always fun because you're going to realize that you messed up and you have to openly admit you messed up. But if your desire is for a better future, if your desire is to cultivate a proper soul, it don't make no sense lying now, because as soon as you get before the Most High, all that mess gonna come out. So you might as well just be honest and help other generations and get some mercy and grace tossed on you by helping the future. That's all I'm saying, bro. That's all I'm saying. I'm tired of these weak about every Jezebel. We always want, Jezebel. Every Jezebel needs an Ahab. You can put that as my quote. Big sign quoted by Big Red. Every Jezebel needs an Ahab. Are you an Ahab type of nigga? You running around here giving, I want some grapes. But he won't tell me the grapes. Here, take my king icon. Yeah. And go crying in the corner like a little man. Look. Look at here. Look at here. This church. That's that mess that it brings. It brings about weak men who don't stand for nothing, that give their power to women. They always want. I see these pastors out here talk about, a real man become a stepfather. Nigga, what? No. I'm gonna tell y'all straight up, y'all women that got these, if you better make it work with your daddy, the baby daddy. That's all I'm gonna say. Or find you another man with kids and see if y'all could blend and make that work. It's getting so bad. You got these doggone single moms going after young men. Young. Again, control. Sirs, the control, the hoop arresting, the binding power of marriage. I'll even go as far as to say some of y'all be giving y'all husbands a hard time for the ring. But again, a ring in marriage, they ain't give rings in marriage during the Bible's time. You gave a dowry to the family, but I'm not doing rings. That's a pagan thing. A hoop binding power. I'm just saying. You out here giving your husband a hard time over paganism. You got these men out here sweating and trying to get something for you. Worthless diamond. Diamonds ain't even worth all that much. If I want to be just straight up with you, diamonds is the most artificial, inflated thing. Diamonds have a scientific purpose, but as far as like a precious jewel, diamond, please, people in Africa be tripping over diamonds left and right. Diamonds ain't nothing. Come back to me when you got jade and sapphire and rubies. So that's all I'm gonna say on that. I'm speaking out more on this whole male-female dynamic because this mess is out of order, and the church is a big reason why this crap is out of order. Even though my mom was pastoring the church, she let it be known. She said it on multiple occasions. She's like, "Look, I only operate as pastor here in this building." She said, "When I go home, that man is my lead. That man is my head." She pointed to my daddy. That man is the head of my household. That man is the head of me, and I submit to that man. She said that on multiple occasions. My mama wasn't no hyena. My mama apologized. So that's why I say my mama set me up for these women, because my mama was a good woman. You know, if you came, I told my mom the story about why a woman that go around sleeping around is bad and how they sometimes will praise a man. I said, yeah, you know, they see it as good. I still don't agree with a man sleeping around because you're still abusing the authority that Most High gave you. But a lock that can be opened by any key is a useless lock. But a key that can open any lock is a good key. I told her that. She's like, you know, that kind of makes sense. That I understand that. You know what? That's a good point. Y'all can't function like us. Like, man, look at how many women stressed out and tired. And man, I'm tired. I don't want to be independent no more. No, you want somebody to come. You want somebody to be your slave. It's not that you're saying I don't want to be independent because you want somebody to come take care of you. You're not saying I'm ready to submit. I'm ready to bring peace to a man's household, and I'm ready for him to give me an assignment for the house so that I can take that assignment and then use my womanly ability to give him an abundance. That is the power of women. When a woman moves in her real power, a woman's power is through submission. Through submission. Look at Vashti and our girl Esther. Girl Vashti thought she was it. She was fine and all this. And man, that king, he want me to come out there. Girl, I don't even know who he think he is. Girl, clock it. I'm not finna go out there. He's gonna have to come up in here and get me himself. I ain't finna go out there and present myself. He gonna come in here because I'm the queen and I'm the table and he can come. That heifer got replaced. That heifer got replaced because that king wasn't no simp. He wasn't giving his power to a woman. He's like, oh, all right, you want to act like that? Hey, y'all, we finna get a new queen. Put the order out there. She got replaced. And Esther was beautiful and submissive. I tell you, she did one of the greatest things. She saved the whole nation with a tea party, bro. With a tea party. David could never. Joshua and Caleb could never. A tea party? That's bro. Not a sword was picked up. Not a piece of armor was donned. Ain't nobody had to practice no drills. She had a tea party and dropped facts and got the whole situation taken care of by just submitting and having faith in the Most High. A woman's power comes from submission. And a man's power comes from not giving your woman power to a woman. You better dump that happy wife, happy life nonsense and stand up and be a man. And if your woman leaves, so what? You're better off. It's better to be in the desert and the wilderness than in the house with a wayward woman that's coming from a man who had way too many of them. So I'm going to leave it at that. So don't let these folks make y'all feel bad for not going to the circus that is the church. Because they know what they're doing. Again, look at what Donda and all this stuff that's going on. That's why I don't trust these jokers when they come out. Yeah, Kanye said some things that, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But at the end of the day, this man still sold his soul to these folks. And he's in their service. And they be knowing stuff. That's why, again, why would you put the church in the middle of a circle? Why would you have the horses or the horse-powered vehicles running around? This is all, we're still in Rome, y'all. They doing this mess in front of our face. They be playing in our face. Casting these spells still. Giving us pharmakia still. Hey, those who ain't know, I wrote a book about the soul. What is a soul? And I put the link is pinned up at the top. You can go get a free copy, free ebook. You know what I mean? I'm going to be following it up with some more information too, because we're going to talk more about the deeper parts of witchcraft. But first, I'm decoding Christianity. That's the first thing I'm starting with, because, that's our start, especially as so-called black folks. That's our starter. Everybody would go to the church and we go on Sunday, and that's what we did. But we didn't realize that when we was going really with our heart for Yah, they was feeding us witchcraft and nonsense. And we got to get this mess out of our soul. We got to divorce this nonsense that they gave us and divorce this mess that they pushed down onto us. Even the ideas that we get for all, everyday stuff, man. Look, those who have read through the book, you already, what you see affects your soul. What you hear affects your soul. Who you are around affects your soul. They know this, and they understand this, and they use it to their advantage. This is why the place that gives off broadcasts, it brings together the people called a cast. Words matter, y'all. Words matter. They just be common, and we be like, oh, well, it don't mean that. It mean, putting the TV radio with broadcast. That's all I'm saying. So, with that, I thank y'all for coming out tonight, and I'll see y'all again next time. Y'all have a very, very blessed evening.
Hold on. Cool. The situation sticky. Houdini get tricky. I hope God really forgive me. I pray Jesus come and get me. I pray the ones that say they're really with me. And if they not, I pray whatever they doing, they quickly. Like Jay Garrett, Barry Wally West. If this the way it is, I always gave my best. I tried to make an A, but my tank gon' eat, that's my flesh. I could go on and on, but I digress. All I know is on the sea song, so I really can't complain. All this gonna go, taking me. I keep the same vibe, even when I'm in a wreck. Long as I keep waking up, long as I keep waking up. I finally realized I'm not lonely, I'm just numbers only. I'm real selective of who I vibe with and who I call my homies. I'm not impressed with love, my love is sweet, Zach and Cody. I'm way more impressed with a hater who's not scared to show me. Good head on his shoulders, he in school, he got some sense, but he way too impatient, tired of waiting, he won't be rich. The brother think the answer is a blick of something he can flip. Don't even have no lawyers like saying, look better than read that script. I'm trying to lead by example, I'm trying to refine the answers. Babies being raised by rabies, prices going up on Pampers. Food that feed is full of cancer. Outside is restaurant, the weather's cloudy, but I got a million chances. All I know is see sun, so I really can't complain. You gonna go, then you man, rain. I keep the same vibe, even when I'm in a wreck.